Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to beautiful downtown Grand Forks, the proud home of the University of North Dakota. This is the time and place for the Jobs Development Authority meeting. Begin with roll call, please.
Weigel.
Here.
Osowski. Here. Weber.
Here.
Lunsky. Kvamme.
Here.
Sandy. Veen.
Here.
And Mayor Paczynski.
Here.
We have quorum.
Very good, thanks. Item 2, action items. Item 2.1, PACE loan request, Integrated Steel Solutions. Mr. Hatch, good evening.
Well, it's on already. Thank you, Chairman Weber, Mayor Paczynski, members of the Jobs Development Authority, Kevin Hatcher, the Business Development Manager at the Grand Forks Region Economic Development Corporation. Speaking on behalf of the $16,311 PACE loan request for Integrated Steel Solutions. You all may be familiar with Integrated Steel Solutions for their equipment request back in October 2nd of 23. But just a little bit of a background, they're a Grand Forks based company. They fabricate structural steel to be used in wall panels, trusses, and any instances needing prefabricated structural steel components. A good example actually is right across the street here is Franklin on 4th. They worked on the development of Franklin on 4th here. Established back in 2019, when I last reported back in 2023, we talked about the report of $4.2 million in revenue. This in fiscal year of 2023, we're looking at $5.8 million, and then Mr. Fournier during the Growth Fund Committee did demonstrate there will be a projection and increase in revenues as well for this upcoming fiscal year. So further into the background, they utilize frame CAD technology and cold form steel framing processes, increasing construction efficiency for 20 to 50% faster compared to traditional methods. They serve multiple industries throughout the Midwest for industrial warehouses, aged care facilities, hotels, and even residential living spaces. For this project in particular, for this request, Integrated Steel Solutions, they're looking to expand their administration space about a little bit over 1,300 square feet. The goal is to get all of their workforce into one facility. Right now they're in the Center for Innovation and other remote locations, so that's really what they would like to do, is get them established in that one spot. Additionally, they're looking at large overhead doors for installation in their facility, providing that ease of access for their large trucks to load the structural material with that new crane equipment that's included in this PACE request to transport the steel material to active project sites. They noted additionally that they currently have a total staff of 33 employees, and they're looking to increase with an additional 7 full-time employees within the next 24 months. So for this PACE request, the total project we see is $540,000. The subsidy is to reduce the interest rate from the estimated rate of 7.7% to 3.5%. On a $405,000 note from First State Bank for the expansion of administration space, like I mentioned, and then the overhead doors and purchase of that new crane equipment. So the request that we're asking today is a PACE note, the PACE buy down locally here for $16,311, and that would leverage Bank of North Dakota's grant portion of $30,291. This is secured through personal guarantees from owners Scott Fournier and Nathan Benson, and the UCC equipment lien on the equipment purchase through this loan. And then one thing I wanted to mention is the loan portfolio in itself. As I know Chairman Weber, we've talked about historically, talking about the full packages of projects, historical through the PACE program. The total growth fund portfolio for Integrated Steel Solutions, including this note here, is $146,762, and then First State Bank, their loan portion is about $1.7 million. So we're looking at about a total of $1.8 million, and then the value demonstrated through First State Bank tied to the security of the loan here, we have about $3 million. So we're looking at a loan to value about 61% for the company in itself. And I open the floor for any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Hatch. In the words of former council president and that great economic development champion, Happy Harry Gershman, bring me more deals like this. This is a no-brainer. Homegrown company, headquarters here in Grand Forks. They continue to grow and prosper. Any comments or questions on this? Otherwise, looking for a motion. What's that?
Public.
Sorry. Let me open a public hearing on this. Does anyone wish to speak to this matter? Anyone wish to speak to this matter? Closing the public hearing, and then motion from Mr. Weigel, second from Mrs. Sowski. Any further questions or comments? Mr. Vian, please. Nope. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion. Aye. Was that an affirmative, Mr. Kavami? There was a-
Yes, sorry for the delay.
Very good. There was a little delay there. So motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you.
Item 2.2, EDA RLF plan update. Mr. Conlon.
Yes, thank you, President Weber, members of the authority. So here before you today with a plan update for our formerly known, I guess, as the C-RUN program, COVID Response Unmet Needs Program. Originally, we were awarded those dollars from the Economic Development Administration back in 2020 as a response to COVID-19. We've since dispersed all those funds to that initial disaster phase and have entered what EDA calls the revolving phase. So those funds are are starting to come back, meaning that we can then redeploy them in the community to address kind of the JDA's local economic development priorities. With that, EDA does require a 5-year plan to do that. Our initial plan for this program was very focused on the COVID response, the initial economic dislocation caused by COVID-19 pandemic. So now we are just sort of shifting to the revolve phase, again, what our strategies for kind of the post-COVID era and economic development look like for these funds. So it incorporates a lot of the revised JDA priorities that we've just kind of updated with the strategic planning exercise we completed last year, as well as various EDA kind of boilerplate, I guess, for lack of a better word, compliance kind of updates as well. We received some comments from Mr. Wolf at the Growth Fund Committee meeting, some really useful comments that we plan to incorporate into the plan update that we'll provide to EDA for their comment. Happy to incorporate any comments that you guys may have as well and stand for any questions.
Very good. And with that, I'll open the public hearing on item 2.2. Does anyone wish to speak to this matter? Anyone wish to speak to the matter? Closing the public hearing. With that, Mr. Conlon, again, more good news, time to celebrate. This is the moment when all of those federal dollars become that sweetest part of economic development, the revolving loan fund, where we get to continue to invest in local businesses with that money coming back to the city. So the federal dollars now become our local dollars for economic development. Any questions or comments from anyone? We need
Move approval.
we need a motion we have a motion to approve and authorize submission to the EDA. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Looking for a motion to adjourn. From Mrs. Sowski, second from the mayor. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll keep moving right along. Now we're going to meet as the City of Grand Forks Board of Equalization. So item 1.1, roll call, please. Maureen?
Weigel. Here. Osowski. Here. Weber.
Here.
Lensky. Kavami.
Here.
Sandy. And Veen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Item 1.2, duties of the Board of Equalization. Mr. Gosta, if you want to give us a rundown, please.
Sure. I'll briefly go through this. I've done this a couple of times now. The duty of the Board of Equalization is really you're to correct any errors that may exist with respect to the valuation of the real property. You're supposed to arrive at what's called true and full value, which is essentially market value. It is expected, sometimes it can happen, that there'll be competing valuations from the assessing department, and the taxpayer will have competing values. That's expected. Generally, however, when there are that type of competing valuations, North Dakota Supreme Court has generally affirmed the decision by the assessing department because there's a presumption that's made. The Supreme Court has said there's a presumption that absence some contrary evidence, the assessing officers perform their duty to assess and arrive at true and full value. The burden is on the taxpayer to present evidence to show that the truant value is not reasonable. This isn't the only, this isn't the ending point for a taxpayer. They can go to the County Tax Equalization Board and request a review there. And also, they can go to the state, but they cannot go to the State Board of Equalization if they did not appeal to the city or the county boards. And then lastly, even if they, there is kind of a second bite at the apple through the abatement process, which is after the taxes are paid, they'd have a period of time, for example, for 2024 property taxes, they'd have until November of 2025 to seek an abatement, which is a different process. But today, what you're really focusing in on is valuation and determine that the valuations as presented by the assessing department are get you to a true and full value, and it's a reasonable amount. So, any questions for me?
All right, thank you, Mr. Gostad. Item 1.3, comments by the city assessor. Ms. Lazar, please.
Good evening, Mayor Paczynski and each of you as members of the Board of Equalization. I highlighted my little presentation as 23 year-end review simply because we're always reviewing what we did last year for this year's tax statements, tax valuations. So just a little preface as to why that is labeled in that format. There's a couple of things that I want to go through with you as just our assessing functions, what we did for reappraisal, some market and sales data, excuse me, and then a couple of the programs this year that have been highlighted of the primary residence credit and homestead credit, and then just some information about the exemptions that we have in place. So our assessing function is to identify real property within the city of Grand Forks and to determine the corresponding value for ad valorem purposes, which is for taxation. The valuation that can occur will include new construction and updating of the value for existing properties when physical changes, such as updates to the properties occur, or market adjustments. And let me highlight one thing. The function is valuing properties. We do get many phone calls about tax liability. Our function is in value, so we try to stay up and justify the value that we are placing on the properties. The value is a component of the equation to tax liability, but we like to stay in our lane and really focus on that portion. Here is a map of our reappraisal areas that we did this year. So everything highlighted in blue are the areas that we did physical re-inspections and reappraisal on. We sent out letters, visited the properties, did a minimum of an exterior review. If the property owner contacted us and allowed us in, we would do an interior inspection. So we were able to get into about 30% of those properties. Our reappraisal included, as the slide shows, 2,368 properties. That includes, we also, our annexed area of North 81 last year, we went up and verified our listing was accurate with what was actually there this year. So that includes, that's not highlighted in the map, but that is part of this reappraisal area. As a side note, since I'm in this area and talking about North 81, the ag land that was annexed last year has remained as ag value this year. That fourth criteria to reclassify it from ag land to commercial land has not been met. It's my assumption that the infrastructure will be probably completed throughout this year, and so in 2025, for the 2025 tax year, it's my assumption that that will be reclassified into commercial. So this is our residential market and sales data. We had 552 sales this year that our staff reviewed and deemed was reflective of our local market. We had many more many more deeds, but of the residential properties, they reviewed them and compared them to our listing to make sure that they were reflective of the local market. We get deeds for real estate, estate sales. We get deeds for divorces. Those are not arm's length transactions. Those are not items that we would consider to be reflective of our local market. So we make sure that we take those out of our sales ratio reports. So you can see that this year, based on our value for 2023 and what it actually sold for, we were at 91.7%. Historically, our mantra has been to stay at 95% for sales ratio, and that's what our market adjustments have done, is by this sample, this sample shows us that we're at 95.3%. Interestingly enough, 13% of these 552 properties were over 100%. So 87% of 552 sales were at 100% or lower for residential. And coincidentally, it's the same ratio for our commercial properties as well. So those same comments really apply to our commercial data. The only difference here is that last year we were at 87.5%, and this year I'm 86.8% again. So I've got 2 years of commercial data that is telling us we're far below, our median is far below than what the market is suggesting. So through that market adjustments, we were able to get this sample to suggest that our sales ratio would be at 93.4%. Through the market adjustments for both residential and commercial, we're at about 6.6% increase overall. That's showing on those preliminary value reports that I've provided to you. Couple of trends. Average sale price. In 5 years, it's gone from $247,000 to $320,000. Interest rates this year, I think, have slowed the market. It doesn't show it in our commercial, but I think what has happened in our residential is that there's a lack of inventory available, so that is keeping sale prices up to an extent. But you can also see where our median value and average value for both residential and commercial has consistently increased over the past 10 years. As we've come to you before, the primary residence credit is a new program that the state enacted in which it provides each property owner up to $500 towards their residential property. Everyone had to apply online by March 31st, which was yesterday. I'm hoping that that has happened. It's a good program. It costs nothing to the jurisdictions, and it's a great benefit to each property owner.
And that's been on our website for the last couple of months as well, the city's
Yes.
website, right? Thanks.
Yep. So this past legislative session as well, the Homestead Credit Program changed considerably. It's a program that's given to reduce property tax assessment. It's funded by the state of North Dakota and is a reimbursement to all the taxing jurisdictions. The program is for age 65 or older, or permanently and totally disabled. There's no age requirement for that portion of the program. You do need to have a net income after out-of-pocket expenses that does not exceed $70,000. Last year it was at 42, and last year in 22, there was an asset test. So the expanding of that income and removing that asset test has significantly changed this program for our taxpayers, where we were at 700 applications before this program started, we're over 1,000. It's 50% increase that this program has been able to help taxpayers with their residential property tax. Our exemptions, these are the exemptions that we have in place as of now. What you can't see and will show in my annual report that you'll get in a couple of weeks is that the charitable exemption has increased significantly. This past legislative session, they amended the public hospital, the charitable exemption to include public hospitals that are new construction. So that is now That is pretty much my presentation to you, but lastly, I really want to say a big thank you to my staff and my gratitude to them. They are the voices, they're the faces of what the public sees from us when we're out doing physical re-inspections or reappraisals. They help everybody call in, whether it's a primary residence credit, a homestead credit, helping with value. They do a lot, so I want to be sure and extend my gratitude for all the work that those 7 people do. That's Darren Winkler, Julie Litzinger, Sheila Schreiner, Tim Ward, and we have 2 new people, Natalie Gowan and Heather Bruley. So I'm very happy to have them with us and helping us in our endeavors. Do you have questions
All right.
for me?
Thank you, Ms. Lazar. Any questions? Ms. Osowski, please.
Besides North 81, how much ag land is in our city?
I don't have the exact numbers. I think last year we were over 1,000 acres. That's probably a little bit less this year because some of that ag land value did come down. I can get you that. I'll have that number. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
So I guess I don't understand too much of this stuff, but how can everything else go up and the ag land goes down?
It went down because it was reclassified. It was the criteria changed in that some of those parcels that were ag land, infrastructure is now in, and so now they've been reclassified as ag to either commercial or residential. So the value went down slightly, only because it was reclassified, not because we lost.
So it's not that the value
Space.
went down, there's less ag land now than there was
Yes.
before. So the decrease is that there's less land.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Lazar? Mr. Veen, please.
Yeah, the charitable is at 327 million. That's the largest exemption we have. Is it larger this year than it was previous years because of, so any idea what it was now that it's gone up?
Primarily, it's the new Ultra Hospital,
But do you know what that dollar amount would be?
60 million.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. It was a big number.
Yeah. And will that have an impact on taxable, or what taxable income that we would have, or?
Well, it's not included in our growth. It's included in our, it's just not included in our growth. So it's not being taxed, so we would have they would have no tax liability for that new hospital because it's totally exempt.
Thank you. But it's not like we were previously receiving property tax from that because it didn't exist, right?
Previously, as the new construction was occurring, we would add value for that. But with the last legislative session, there was, I believe Minot brought this to the table for review and for consideration, and it was their impact that they wanted these public hospitals that are charitable not to incur the additional tax liability because it wasn't in their, they couldn't figure it out. I mean, for lack of better words, my apologies for that, but it was just too much of a burden for the charitable portion of their facilities and their business.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Lazar? All right, thank you. Stand by in case we need you here.
There you go.
So we'll move on to item 1.4, and that's to receive formal protests and set the date to reconvene as the Board of Equalization. Did we have some submittals, some protests already?
I do have
List
2
those.
residentials properties at 3510 7th Avenue North, 820 North 6th Street, and 1 commercial for Parkwood Place on South 30th Street.
Okay, so we've got those, and then I'm going to open up if there's anybody here today to have a formal protest as well to be added to the list. All right, being that we've only got those 3, and I'm sure that workload can be managed, we'll reset the date to hear those protests from 2 weeks from today and do
That would be
April
great.
15th. If I could get a formal motion from the Board of Equalization to receive those 3 formal protests and set a date to reconvene as April 15th. Got a motion from Mr. Weber, second from Ms. Osowski. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Item 2, adjournment.
I motion adjournment.
Motion for Ms. Wasowski, second for Mr. Weigel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Move right along. Time for the main event, Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, April 1st, 2024. So welcome, everybody. If we get a roll call, please, Maureen.
Weigel.
Here.
Osowski. Here. Weber. Lensky. Kwame.
Here.
Sandy. Veen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, with 3 meetings and several proclamations and awards, I'll forego my mayor's announcements tonight, and we'll move on to awards. Item 2, awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations.
2.1 is proclamation, Public Health Week, and Public Health Champions Award presentations.
Thank you. We got 3 of them, so I'm just going to paraphrase and read the end of the proclamations, then we're going to hand out some awards here. So let me do Public Health Week proclamation first. So it's National Public Health Week. So now, therefore, I, Brandon Boczynski, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of Grand Forks, North Dakota, I do hereby proclaim the week of April 1st to the 7th, 2024 as National Public Health Week, and call upon the people of Grand Forks to observe this week by helping our families, friends, neighbors, coworkers, and leaders better understand the value of public health and supporting great opportunities to adopt preventative lifestyle habits in light of this year's theme, protecting, connecting, and thriving. We are all public health. And if you want to see the larger proclamation, will be available on the website as well. So with that, we've got a couple of awards for our public health champions. We're going to do the award presentation now. So Miss Wall, please step up. I got to get the new name down.
Thank you, Mayor Boczynski, members of the council and city leadership. I'm excited to share about the National Public Health Week, which starts today, as Mayor mentioned, and goes through Sunday. For those tuning in, I'm Tess Wall, the Director of Public Health. So I'll start with a few words about this week and then turn it over to Shaylee, our communication strategist, to share information about our events this week and honor our 2024 Public Health Champions Award recipients. During the first full week of each April, the American Public Health Association, or APA, brings together communities across the United States to observe National Public Health Week. This is a time to recognize the contributions of public health and highlight issues that are important to improving our nation's health. This year's theme, created by the APHA, Protecting, Connecting, and Thriving, We Are All Public Health. As you'll see by our amazing public health champions, this theme rings true right here in our very own community. By celebrating the important role that the community plays in public health as well, we create powerful partnerships, policies, and strategies for successful initiatives. Thank you to everyone who supports Grand Forks' strong, community-wide public health system. Thank you to Mayor Boczynski for proclaiming this week as National Public Health Week for the City of Grand Forks, and for all the work that you, City Council, and City leadership do to make Grand Forks a vibrant and healthy community. You'll find a schedule of public events hosted by Grand Forks Public Health in your packets, as well as posted to our social media at Grand Forks Public Health. I want to extend my gratitude to the internal committee who brought this year's theme to life through this week's events and nomination and selection process for tonight's champions. Now I'll turn it over to Shaylee.
Thank you, Tess. Good evening, Mayor Boczynski, members of City Council, and City leadership. I'm Shaylee Miller. I'm the communication strategist at Public Health and part of the National Public Health Week Planning Committee. I'm excited to share some events and announce our Public Health Champion Awards. So for this week, we have several free events open to the public. Our hashtag Healthy Selfie Challenge is on Facebook. We have a CVIC donation drive, a painted rock scavenger hunt throughout downtown and the Greenway, a reading list at Grand Forks Public Library, a public health panel in partnership with UND on Tuesday, a walking MOI with Blue Zones Project Grand Forks on Thursday, and an Ask the Expert discussion about food safety with an environmental health specialist on Saturday. And more info is available throughout the week on our Facebook page at GF Public Health. So now, Grand Forks Public Health received many nominations for Public Health Champion Awards, and we're excited to honor the awardees. We would ask Mayor Bochensky to please come down to the floor to help us present the awards. These awards recognize individuals, groups, or organizations who champion and lead opportunities for health across our community. These champions live, work, or volunteer in Grand Forks County, promote the principles of public health, and have made outstanding contributions that have advanced the community's health. We would like to thank everyone who took the time to submit nominations, and there were so many, it was very hard to choose. The champions who are here tonight, please come up to receive your award and a photo when you hear your name. Our first award tonight is presented to Grand Forks Police Department's mental health liaisons, April Prock and Troy Vanyo. When officers come across people who are suffering from mental health conditions, they contact these two. Their work reduces the risk of unneeded arrests being made or use of force situations by connecting the person with resources they need to get their life back. They also walk families through the process of finding help for their loved ones and where to go for the resources needed. Thank you and congratulations to April and Troy. Next, we honor Mandy Burbank, Public Health Dietitian at Grand Forks Public Health. From helping to bring the Blue Zones Project to Grand Forks, to implementing community gardens, to advocating for breastfeeding spaces around Grand Forks, she lives and breathes her work and is dedicated to serving our community. She's an excellent role model for dietitians pursuing public health. Thank you and congratulations, Mandy. Our next award goes to Rosina Appia, Outpatient Mental Health Specialist. Rosina specializes in outpatient mental health therapy with Harmony Haven Therapy. Alongside her clinical practice, she is the founder and executive director of the Arise Above Foundation, a nonprofit organization based in Grand Forks committed to improving health, education, and community programs. Rosina serves on the North Dakota HIV Advisory Board. Additionally, she spearheads the radio show Unmasking the Myth, which aims to dispel stigma surrounding mental health and promote understanding within marginalized BIPOC communities. Congratulations and thank you, Rosina. Our next and final award goes to the telecommunicators at the Grand Forks Public Safety Answering Point, aka PSAP, aka 911 Call Center. PSAP excels in emergency medical response and has taken proactive strides towards mental health and well-being. By integrating mental health awareness into their ongoing training program, the dispatchers are able to handle calls with sensitivity and empathy, addressing the complete needs of the community. Furthermore, PSAP's certification in emergency medical dispatch displays a commitment to maintaining the highest standards in emergency response. PSAP's swift actions have played a pivotal role in numerous life-saving events within the community. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you all, and again, congratulations to the recipients of the 2024 Public Health Champion Awards.
Proclamation National Donate Life Month, April 2024.
All right, I'm going to, again, just read off the end of this one, but I just wanted to highlight, this really came about, I want to say it was 3 or 4 years ago, and at that time, Sally Jacobson, who received a liver, this was one of the first times in the country where a liver from an old patient, a patient that was, I think in their 70s, had passed away, and the liver was available, and Sally was able to get this liver donation, and her doctors had told her that she didn't have very long to live, and this was, I probably have the years wrong, but it's been 22 or 23 years now. Her liver is actually over 100 years old, so really pioneering healthcare, and I still see Sally at Choice Health and Fitness every once in a while going to get some care or to walk around the track, but so I just wanted to highlight that and highlight Sally, because she's the one that's really helped drive this one forward. So Proclamation National Donate Life Month. Now, therefore, I, Brandon Bochensky, Mayor of Grand Forks, North Dakota, do hereby proclaim April 2024 as National Donate Life Month in the city of Grand Forks and encourage all citizens and organizations to join in this observation.
2.3 Proclamation Fair Housing Month.
All right, I'm going to read this one first, and I think we have a pre-Hall. Is Miss Hall here? There she is. All right, I'll read this quickly, and then we'll have, I think you got a few comments, so you can start heading up if you want. Proclamation Fair Housing Month. Now therefore, I, Brandon Bochinski, Mayor of Grand Forks, North Dakota, do hereby proclaim April 2024 Fair Housing Month in our city and urge all citizens to honor and abide by the letter and the spirit of fair housing law. To have that ready, is it Ms. Hall?
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My name is Brianna Hall, and I am the Director of Education Outreach for High Plains Fair Housing Center. We are a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to strengthening communities and to ensuring equal access to fair housing through the state of North Dakota. So we do this through a number of ways. We do it through our education outreach, which is where you see me. We do this through our enforcement team, and then we also do this through our advocacy, which is like our bread and butter, where we help our clients. And so first and foremost, thank you so much for your proclamation that April is Fair Housing Month. 56 years ago, on April 11th, 1968, the Fair Housing Act was passed and aimed to eradicate housing discrimination. And I guess fortunately or unfortunately, I'm here. I have a job, and my entire job is to educate people on the Fair Housing Act. And that they shouldn't be treated differently because of their race, their color, their religion, their national origin, their sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, or because they have children in their home. So with that being said, I'm here to personally invite you to our event in Grand Forks for Fair Housing Month, which is Thursday, April 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Empire Theater. We'll be discussing barriers to home ownership, eviction, tenant rights, and other housing complexities in North Dakota through our film and panel discussion. So I ask that you join us not only because fair housing is a civil right, but because chances are either you or someone you love will face housing discrimination at some point, and it's important to know what to do if your rights are being violated. And if that isn't enough, I personally will buy you a popcorn. So just come find me at the event, and whatever size you would like.
I think you had most of them at free popcorn, but thank you very much and appreciate you coming here today.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for item 2. We'll move on to item 3, public hearings and second readings of ordinances.
3.1, determination and protest for vacation of 2-foot wide alley located within Lot 23, Block 69, Alexander and I's addition. We've received no protests.
All right, then we'll just open up the public hearing on item 3.1. Anybody here to speak on item 3.1? All right, seeing nobody, we'll close the public hearing portion and I'll open up to council. Motion to approve from Ms. Osowski. Do we have a second? Second from Mr. Weigel. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
3.2 is determination of protest for Project 8758.1-3, District 779.1-3, 2024 Mill and Overlay, and Project 8789, District 781, Reconstruct 40th Avenue South from Belmont to Cherry. No protests on these as well.
All right, same procedure. We'll open up the public hearing. If there's anyone here, come forward now on item 3.2. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion and open up to council. Got a motion to approve from Vice President Weber and a second from Ms. Lunsky. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 3.3, public hearing on 2024 Annual Action Plan.
All right, same thing. We'll open the public hearing. Anyone here to speak on item 3.3? All right, seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing portion and once again open up to council. Motion to approve from Vice President Weber and second from Mr. Weigel. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That would conclude item 3. We'll move on to item 4, which is citizen comments as they're related to action items. Any comments this evening? All right, we have none. So we'll move on to 5 action items. I was going to just pull 5.1 just so we can be clear that that one was voted down at the committee of the whole. And is there any other items that the council would like pulled for this evening, Mr. Weber?
512, please.
512. Any other comments or any other items? All right, seeing none, we'll look for a motion to approve items 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, 5.10, and 5.11.
I move approval.
Motion for Ms. Wasowski, second from Mr. Weigel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I think that was again in the affirmative, so I'll count that as Mr. Kavami's in the affirmative. So that motion passes unanimously.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, so we're on to item 5.1.
5.1, special events Sigma World.
I just wanted to be clear that the recommendation was to not approve this item, so unless they want conversation, we'd just be moving forward as recommended.
Correct, Mayor. I'll make a motion to deny the noise variance request for Signal World.
Got a motion for Mr. Weigel, second for Ms. Osowski. Any further discussion, item 5.1? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously.
And 5.12, funding application for outdoor recreation legacy program for the Gateway Greenway renovation plan.
All right, thank you. We got Ms. Parvey here to answer any questions, and I'll start with you, Mr. Weber, if you had any direct questions to kick off.
If you could just kind of walk us through the process again. This is, we're deciding to approve the submission of a grant application tonight. We're not spending any money tonight.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yep, correct. So we're just asking the council to support the project as we would put in the initial application. That initial application goes to North Dakota Parks and Rec, who works with National Park Service to submit that. That has to be accepted in order for the city to be asked to submit a full application. So even if we submit this initial application, that doesn't mean we're guaranteed funding. Once this application is submitted and if accepted, in November, we'll be notified and have to submit a full application. They just want additional information guaranteeing that we can build at the site, that we're not impacting any species. So we have to kind of go through a number of federal requirements in order to submit that full application, and we have a full year to do that if the first initial application is submitted. So even if we submit this one, we won't know till November if we're allowed to submit for the full application.
And if the application were successful, we would be using flood protection dollars to come up with our match. Is that the intention?
That's what we've looked at to date, is that as a possible funding source that we could utilize.
Is there any reason for us to be concerned that we would be spending necessary flood protection dollars to help pay for these amenities?
Right now, the budget currently within the CIP has items identified that are maintenance items, and there is a surplus of funding, so that's what we were looking at. But we can definitely have conversations as we get closer if we do get asked to submit for final application, if there's other funding sources we wanted to look at, or if we wanted to reduce the amount of money we're looking for, and kind of all those things.
Okay. And in addition, this would, if the application were approved, any decisions about the work to be done would have to still be vetted by the state and federal officials, so that we can't break our greenway. We can't break the flood protection to put in toys.
Absolutely. We'd work with the Army Corps of Engineers as well as FEMA. We would likely work with the railroad as well, State Historic Preservation Office. We also have to make sure that we're not having any impacts with U.S. Fish and Wildlife concerns, Endangered Species Act, et cetera. Kind of all those things that you need to do if you're looking at utilizing federal funding.
Very good, thanks. And to push the point just one step further, if the grant were successful, the application were successful, and it was fully funded, the future councils would still have to give approval on funding amounts and what that funding would go toward.
Correct.
Yeah. That's all I have. I'll move approval.
Got a motion to approve. Got a second from Ms. Lunsky, and I just want a couple comments. Obviously, our flood protection is the most important thing. Our pumps, our gates, all the equipment, all the whole system's obviously priority number one. I think if you went back in time, there was questions about whether the greenway should exist in the way that it does, and I don't think there's too many people that would have gone back and questioned that now. I think it's been a great asset. I like the fact that we can change the scope, de-scope it as needed, and potentially do nothing, do something. At least if we do, we've got paired funds and we've got that option. So thank you for your work on this, and we're excited to hear what's more to come. So
Thank you.
with that, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the item? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. That's it for item 5, action items. We'll move on to 6, information items. There are none tonight, so item 7, approval of minutes and bills.
7.1, vendor list and engineer's estimate as is attached.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the vendor list and pay the bills? Got a motion from Mr. Veen and a second from Mr. Weigel. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And 7.2, minutes from October 23rd and November 6th, 20th, and 27th.
So you got 4 weeks, somebody was working during spring break in the finance department, so thank you for that. I think that's the most I've seen in 4 years, all in one week, so nice work. Pass that on to the team. Everyone get a chance to read 4 weeks of minutes and approve as is. I got to approve as is from Mr. Weigel, and a second from Ms. Lunsky. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. All right, item 8, citizen comments of the general nature. We have none. Well, moving right along, you got more time to talk now, Mr. Phelan, so city administrator comments.
I'll defer.
No comments this evening, all right. We'll move on to mayor and council member comments. We'll start with Mr. Weigel. Any comments this evening?
I'll pass as well, Mayor.
We're moving on. Ms. Osowski, any comments this
No,
evening?
thank you, Mayor.
All right, Ms. Lunsky, any comments?
I apologize for being late. That's all I have.
All right, well, apology accepted. Mr. Kavami, any comments
thank you.
this evening? All right, Mr. Veen?
No, thank you.
Vice President Weber?
If I may, Mayor.
Please.
I believe this is Ms. Richards' last city council meeting of a long and glorious career. Over the last decade or so, it's been a great pleasure getting to work with you all along. I feel like all of the good things that I've gotten to be a part of have almost always been led by your work. I was not here during the flood. I came here a short time after that and started hearing about your work involved in that and help your contributions to making the city what it is today. And I'll get all choked up, so I'm just going to leave it there. And I believe there's an open house to celebrate your wonderful career here on Thursday afternoon. And anybody who wants can come by the planning office that afternoon. Thanks for everything, Meredith.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. Deeply appreciate it.
Well, at risk of making Ms. Richards blush anymore and just knowing that she's a consummate professional, we'll just leave it at that and remember it as a career well done, and we'll see her in the future. I'm sure she'll still come around and check on us from time to time. That's what we like about her. So thank you. I think that just leaves, we do not have President Sandy tonight, so that just leaves myself. I just wanted to make a quick comment. We did select a firm on air surface development today. We had a group from Altru, the university president was also here, from the EDC and from Northrop Grumman representatives that were on that panel, and selected a firm. So we're pretty excited to move forward and try to grow air service in Grand Forks. The two main takeaways I got from both of the firms was that we are sorely underserved and the prices are too high here. When you have firms coming out from the coasts where salaries may be higher and they're shocked at how high the prices are to fly here, was pretty eye-opening. So that effort's going to continue, and it's going to continue quickly, and it's something that I'm very excited to see some progress on in the near future. So just wanted to highlight that. With that, that's all I've got for comments, so I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn. I'm going to get Mr. Veen beat you to the punch. So Mr. Veen motioned and Mrs. Lunsky seconded. So unless there's any further comments, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.